Hey everyone, it is Monday and we're on to topic number 2 with Greg Dickerson. How you doing, sir?
Doing great. Sitting here waiting for my brakes to get complete. So I'm in a car dealer waiting room right now.
Well, thank you very much for doing this. It means a lot to me that you make time for this during the week. So thank you very much.
Yeah, man. I thought I'd be done by now, be on the road, but here we
Yeah,
are.
and we are. Hey, so one of the things I want to talk about is price versus time. So let me set this up for you because it's something that's rattling around in my brain. It's something that I think is important that not enough people think about and almost nobody talks about. So think about when you go to a store, maybe a car dealership, right? If you walked around the showroom floor, they have price tags on the vehicles, at least most of them,
Hmm.
right? Except the really expensive ones, because if you have to ask, you can't afford it, right? That's the joke. Right? You go to a retail store, you go for shop for a vacation, everything has a price. What I'm trying to push people to think about, and what I put in my course over the weekend that I just rolled out, is people need to think about time, because frankly, price is not equal to everyone. What I want people to think about is, what is your discretionary income, right? So your income, your net after taxes, what are your kind of fixed expenses that you already have allocated? Think rent or mortgage, think car payments, think credit cards, think food, think entertainment, so on and so forth. And then there's some number left. For some people it's razor thin, for some people it's gargantuan. But what I want people to realize is that is the only number that you should consider when you're thinking price. Because let's just say you made 5,000 net, you spend 2,500. If you want to go buy a $2,500 vacation, it's worth 1 month's salary, right? Or 1 month's discretionary income.
Hmm.
So I'm trying to push people to think price, because too many people, I'm sorry, think time, right? How much time does that $2,500 vacation? And the answer is, it takes me 1 month of effort. It takes me 1 month of work to afford this vacation. And if you take that same vacation, that's $2,500, and you only have $1,000 left over, it actually takes you 2.5 months of work to pay for
Hmm.
that vacation. So that's what I mean by price and time. I want more and more people to think about, what do I have left over? Because it's only those discretionary dollars, which I call freedom dollars, that you can make choices with. All the other stuff is spent
Hmm.
on day one of a year or day one of a month. You already know what your mortgage or rent is. You know what your car payment is. You know what taxes. I mean, all of that stuff. So, what do you think about there? Am I on the right track, or am I just being crazy again?
No, I mean, you're talking about opportunity cost, time value of money and, velocity of cash, right? So when you're looking in the world of investments, a lot of people ask me, how do I look at a deal? I think you and I discussed that one time. How do I look at deals? How do I evaluate? The first thing I look at is opportunity cost. Is
Mm,
this even worth my time? Let's say you can make $100,000 on a deal or $1 million on a deal. Based on what you earn normally, is that even worth pursuing based on the actual profitability of the deal? And then you got to look at, so that's opportunity cost, okay? Because I only have so many hours in the day. There's only so many things that I can literally do in a day. And this is one of the things that I help my clients with more than anything else. It's the one thing, right? So it's like people talk about 80-20, 80% of your results coming from 20% of your efforts. I drill that down into what's the 100% of the 20%. What's the one or
mm.
two things that you need to focus on that are going to produce and generate the results? So it's like Elon Musk talks about. He's got all these things going on. And sure, you've got different people executing and operating on these different things, but you still have to focus a certain amount of time, energy, and attention with those things. So there's only so many you can focus on. So you got to focus on the ones that are going to generate the highest and best return on that investment. Same thing when you're looking at what you just talked about. And one of the things we talked about was, if your resources are limited to such that it's a $2,500 vacation, I earn, net discretionary income of $2,500 in a month, 1 month of labor will pay for that vacation. Then the question is, you have to ask yourself, well, how else can I expand that income so
Mhm.
that I can afford the price of whatever I want? So you look at, earning more, not cutting back and doing less.
Yeah, that's a big concept for you. I mean, I think you've said it a dozen times, and it probably bears repeating. Right? You're very much like, hey, how can I afford that? Right? That's something you've
Mm-hmm.
brought up many times. And again, don't think sort of cut out the lattes and all kind of cutting back. Think expansion. Think bigger. That's a very
Yeah,
big
how
part of
can I
you.
afford it? And that's the Kiyosaki, that's one of the nuggets in the book is, get assets first that will pay for the things that you want later.
Yeah, and that's something I'm really trying to push people to think about. And again, when I create a course or I think about anything I do, I only talk about things that have been important to me in my journey to wealth.
Mhm.
And that was a big one early on is I still remember walking into the kitchen, where at the time my mom would pay bills. My mom paid the bills in my family, and just watching her be stressed out.
Mhm.
I knew she was stressed out. I knew it was because of lack of money, but I never appreciated how close my family was living to the edge, right? Because there wasn't enough discretionary income for the extras in life, let alone the extras, just the emergencies. The emergencies would
Yeah.
just wipe us out, right? A flat tire, for example, a health scare, for example. And that's where I want people to realize that discretionary number, that's where all the decisions are made. You can talk about
Mhm.
making $5,000 a month, but if you're spending 4,800 a month on everything else, you really only have $200 to talk about.
Yeah, yeah. And it's, and to take it one step further, as an entrepreneur, I'm a job creator. So, I've always created jobs, had employees, that's been my lifelong career history. That's what I do. It's what I've done. So when I look at salaries, that I'm paying somebody, I look at it differently than the employee looks at it. So an employee looks at salary, this is what I get for showing up in exchange for the services I provide to the company. What I look at is, you know, and this is what I would always explain to my employees, especially if they came to me for a raise, it would be like, okay, do you understand how much business I have to generate, how much risk I have to take just so that your salary can be paid? So you have your salary, then you've got the taxes and all that stuff that you have to match on top of it, plus the benefits and all the other things that go along with it. So an employee that's making 5,000 a month that I'm paying, it's probably actually costing me 7,500. So in order to pay that, I have to generate $100,000 in revenue to be able to pay somebody, or whatever it is, a
Mhm.
month, to be able to pay that 7,500, after all other overhead costs and things like that are factored in the equation. So, each employee becomes a revenue center. And when you have that discussion with somebody, the light bulb really goes off, because then it would always turn it back to say, okay, I understand that you feel like you want more, you feel like you should get paid more. Why is that? And it would always be, well, I've been here however long. And I said, okay, well, that's great. I said, what have you done differently today than you did, a year ago when you started? What are you doing different? How are you bringing in the extra income? I just showed you how much it costs to employ you. How are you going to bring in more and expand so that I can pay you more?
Yeah.
So, it's the old philosophy of, if you want to get paid more for what you do, you got to do more than you're currently paid to do. So you got to do the work first, then it comes later.
Yeah, so I want to take that one step further, and that's kind of the employee to you. I'm just wondering, in all of your businesses that you've run, I have to imagine, we're going to see where this goes. I have to imagine at least once there was some employee who was just killing it, again, expanding your business, that you actually went to and said, "Hey, you're doing a killer job. You're doing, lights out things. I'm going to give you a raise or a bonus or a one-off or whatever you want to call that as an entrepreneur." So again, people that do more than that are expected to do more than they were getting, they see the return of that. Is that true?
Oh yeah, yeah. So I had bonus incentives, profits. So I always shared, profitability. There were bonuses and things like that, for the employees that could affect that. And then there were ones that, they got, general increases over time and things like that. And then there were the ones that reached a point to where it wasn't sustainable. I couldn't pay them anymore. So I helped them start their own business. And I would
Ah,
come to them and I would say, look, you've outgrown this company. There's nowhere else for you to go. I can't pay you anymore. You can't earn anymore. Why don't you start your own business and then work for me as a subcontractor?
there you
So I
go.
helped a lot of people start their own companies that way.
That's amazing. And again, this is just how being an entrepreneur works. You're returning value to value created. And again, really, when we started all of this, it really is opportunity cost. And I just want
Mhm.
to make sure people realize, in my mind, opportunity cost can be looked at two ways. One is just the dollar element. Hey, I'm going to deploy this capital here. It means it can't be put elsewhere. That's kind of the economic definition. I want most people to realize, and where most people are, it's time, right? And again, how much time, for example, do you spend a week watching TV? I mean, just for example, 10 hours, I don't know, what, 7 hours? I
Mhm.
don't know. That's an opportunity cost. That hour, I don't want to call it wasted, chosen to be spent that way, is an opportunity cost. And most folks need to think opportunity cost in time, because they're not making these economic decisions with cash. So
Mhm.
think about that. Would you agree?
Yeah, in this day and age, especially, I think everybody's been reminded how precious time is. That's the one thing that, no matter how much you have, how wealthy you are, you can't buy it, you can't create it, you can't make any more of it. It is what it is. Every single day that goes by is one less day you have. So the question is, if there is a time value equation to a choice you're about to make, are you really willing to exchange the time that it takes for that thing that you're pursuing and that you're thinking about purchasing or doing?
Very, very cool. Well, Greg, this has been a lot of fun. I can't wait for topic number 3.